Namaste to all. We are in the series of discussing medical review of Bhagavad Gita. So, in this series, we are reviewing all Bhagavad Gita texts with the sense of medical aspect or with the aspect of medical terminologies. So, here today we will discuss in last session, we have discussed the stress and its solutions in Bhagavad Gita. Stress is the root cause of almost 85 to 90% of the psychosomatic illnesses, okay, which we call in Ayurveda and yoga philosophy and as well as physiology. In Ayurveda and yoga physiology, the adhi is a root cause of the vyadhi, or adhi means stress is a root cause of so many diseases. So yesterday in last session, we discussed about the first of all, Adhija Vyadhi, that is a chronic lifestyle diseases or psychosomatic diseases. Root cause of this Vyadhi or diseases is the Adhi. 85% diseases, people are suffering from the lifestyle and chronic diseases that the root cause is Adhi. So we discussed in the last, just to have a recap of the last session, Vyadhi or bodily diseases or physical as well as psychological diseases are of two types, adhija and anadhija. Adhija means stress borne or mental, any diseases as a result of the mental disturbances for a longer duration of time. From the chronic mental disturbances, we we come to or we result in some kind of diseases. So these are the Adhija Vyadhi and Anadhija Vyadhi. Next one is Anadhija Vyadhi. These are the Vyadhis or diseases which are caused due to the accidents, insects bites, earthquakes, okay, so many other things. So because of the external factor, okay. So we can divide the diseases into categories. One is external caused due to external factors and one is caused due to internal factor. So that diseases caused due to internal factor are adhija vyadhi. Okay, and almost if we'll consider all the psychosomatic illnesses or all the disorders or diseases, there are we'll find that in the current population 10 to 15% people are suffering from the anadhija vyadhi and almost 80 to 85% people are suffering from the adhija vyadhi. So adhija vyadhi is also of two types, saraja and samanyaja. Saraja Vyadhi, where the Adhi get carried away in next birth, or the Adhi or the mental disturbances which have been carried from the past birth. Okay, so all congenital diseases, all basic serious illnesses in the pediatric practices, or special children's. Okay, these are the Adhi Saraj Vyadhi, or even some kind of a skin disorders. Okay, so Ayurveda has the best explanation about that which diseases are the Saraj diseases. And next one is Samanya diseases. Samanya means psychosomatic illness. I have the mental disturbances, I have the stress from years, from 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in this life. Okay, so the diseases or the output or the disorder caused due to the mental disturbances or the stress in this life is called as a Samanya Vyadhi. That is psychosomatic illness. And then we discussed that how the adhi get manifested in the physical body. So first of all, it disturbs the manomaya kosha, that is at the mind level. It creates lot of disturbances, lot of eruptions. Then it disturbs the pranamaya kosha, that it disturbs the regular flow of the prana. And then wherever the each and every cell is not getting the proper sufficient amount of the pranic flow, then it the physiology, abnormal physiology starts in that body part or in that with that organ, or the metabolism get disturbed. So that leads to the manifestation of the diseases. If this process, if this physiology, if this pathophysiology is happening from years, maybe from 5 years, 10 years, so then that will get one day that will get manifested in the organ damage or the system damage. So that leads to the manifestation of the diseases. Okay, so after that, we just discuss about the root causes of the Adhi. Okay, Adhi is a very broad spectrum, or stress is a very vast issue, or on which we can discuss some time later. But wherever we are in the state of conflictions, wherever we are in the state of guilt, wherever we are not sure that which path, always we get stuck on the on some path where we have two roads or two paths to choose, and by our intelligence, by our memories, by our, with the help of jnana, we select one path. Okay, so at that time, that friction, sometimes our mind is telling us something, intellect is telling us something, so this friction is something called as a adi, or it disturbs the mind. Even once we select one path, we keep on walking on that path, and then also if we are not sure that whether the my selected or my chosen path is right or wrong, so this concepts on right and wrong depends on the intellectual pattern of the person, or on the background on which he has grown up in from his childhood. So these concepts and concepts of righteousness and wrongness keep on changing from time to time, and from land to land also. So there so many times there are conflictions, there are fightings between the righteousness and wrongness. Mind might be thinking something, intellect might be thinking something else, they are not on the same page. So that creates the adi. Even if the path is chosen, while walking on that path, we are always, so many times we are not sure whether I am doing right or wrong. Okay, so this internal fight is called as, or is terminated as adhi. Okay, so this is the root cause of vyadhi, because if this kind of internal fights, internal guilt, fear of karmas, or the I'm not sure whether I'm doing right thing or wrong thing, no, this day by day, for every second, these internal fights or the internal frictions are happening inside the person. So that is something is broadcasted as the adhi, or the mental disturbances, and that lead to the pranic disturbances, that lead to the organ damage, and then it get manifested in the form of the vyadhi. Yesterday we also discussed that there are some solutions for the adhi also. Okay, sukha dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapyasi. So be stable. No, there are so many examples, or there are so many tips I have given, that how to be sukha dukhe samay krutva, how to be equal in pain and pleasure. So and avoid the conflictions, avoid the dilemmas. For example, we can adopt the attitude of the soldier. Soldier never keep on thinking that to on the crowd or on the person to whom I have fired is my enemy or is my friend. Okay, so they just follow the orders. Soldiers are trained to follow the orders. They are not, even they are not allowed to think on the orders also. Okay, whether it is right or whether it is wrong. So adopting the satvikta, adopting the sense of duty, because soldiers or the defense warriors are the highest people, we can say, they follow the satvikta. They work with the highest sense of duty in wherever they are going or wherever they are working. They are always, any kind of maybe intelligence or agents or the actual fighters on the borders, on the warriors on the borders, they are following the highest satvikta or highest sense of duty. Okay, so adopting the soldier bhav or adopting the sainik bhav is one of the way to be equal in pain and pleasure, sukha dukhe same kutva. So in this way, if we can be equal in pain and pleasure. There are so many other techniques also. So do karma with the sense of duty, that leads to non-attachment towards the karma and karma phala, and that leads to the dissolution of the adhi. In Bhagavad Gita 3:19, there is another sutra, tasmat asaktah satatam karyam karma samacharam. Okay, be asaktah. Since following the sattva guna will lead to the asakta avastha. Okay, asakta state and doing the karma. And even the next practical tip is samacharam, be equal to all. Don't give any preferences to any people in the house, in the society, in the workplace, anywhere. Try to behave equally with your friends and with your enemies also. Okay, so treating your enemies also equally needs some kind of a skill, and that skill we can adopt so day by day, and that leads to the equality or peace in the mind that dissolves the adhi. After that, these are the two gross ways. So how step by step we will do that? or how step by step I can be equal to everyone, how step by step I can go in asakta avastha. So first of all, we should know that there are three gunas: sattva, rajas, and tamas. So traigunya vishaya veda nistraigunya bhavarsham. One fine day, I cannot adopt these two sutras. Okay, one fine morning, I will wake up and I will start following this Bhagavad Gita second 30th sutra and Bhagavad Gita third 19th sutra. This is difficult. So how I will achieve that practically, step by step. So first of all, in second 45th sutra, Sri Krishna is saying that try to recognize first of all your three gunas in your personality. So we will have a nice presentation on these three gunas, maybe at the end of this session or next session. So what is sattva, what is rajas, what is the tamas? How to analyze our three gunas? Okay. So, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So, first of all, we have to identify the percentage of sattva, percentage of rajas, percentage of tamas, or these behavioral qualities of our own personality. Once we are aware of these personalities, then we can try to go beyond that. Okay, I will try to minimize the tamas with the help of rajas guna in my personality. I will try to control my rajas guna. I will try to promote my sattva guna, and then one fine day, by practice, I can overcome all these trigunas and I can be in a sattvatit avastha. This is not impossible. People have already adopted this. People are walking or living on in this path. So be in a sattvatit avastha. Leave the ego. We have a lot of egos, lot of things. Even we get the ego of doing the duties also, performing the duties. I performed my duty as so and so. So many times, people have conquered their other egos, but they have this minimum ego. So going beyond the ego of the duties also, that is called something called as a sattvatit avastha. Okay, so that will lead to the peace of the mind, or decreasing the mental disturbances, or decreasing the stress, and that will lead to the health. After that, we discussed the three ways to overcome the ati. Okay, the most misunderstood sutra of the Bhagavad Gita, that we discussed in detail. And then, if we will able to follow this sutra, we can overcome the ati. Second is if we can be, there are a lot of techniques of the yoga. If we can follow or we can attain the yoga sthiti, fixing the mind in the yoga and doing work externally, and maintaining the equilibrium in any outside circumstances, then we can maintain or we can dissolve the ati. Next, third way or third solution, that using the intellectual capacities, we can cool and calm down our mind. Okay, we can convert our mind in Sudarshan Chakra. Okay, that what is Sudarshan Chakra? Or any kind of a wheel, that is at the outer core it is moving very fast, and inner core it is not, it is moving with very minimum rpm or minimum rate. So our internal status or internal mind should not be moving. We can achieve that state. That is a skill. That is a yoga karmasu kaushalam. That is a yoga, is that skill of action, skill in adopting that mind, keeping mind moving with very minimum rate and keeping body moving with a faster rate. Okay, so that skill is something called as a yoga sthiti. Till here we discussed yesterday, and now we will discuss about the Shraddha. Okay, so which is the best tool to overcome the Adhi. Okay, because in the society, so very few people have the intellectual abilities to identify their trigunas. Very few people have the potentials to overcome that trigunas consciously. Okay, unconsciously, everybody is overcoming their limitations, their drawbacks, or their limited consequences. But so intellectual, this identifying through gunas, overcoming that, or using intellectual capacities is a jnana marga, or something called as a jnana yoga. Okay, using your own intellect for identification of your own limitations and overcoming that is called as a jnana yoga. But in the society, very few people can adopt the Jnana Yoga or this path of the knowledge. So there is another very easy path, okay, which so many people can follow, because the intellectuals or the people, highly intellect people, are less in the society, and there are different types of categories of the people. So the one who can follow the Jnana Yoga and follow their Gunatit Avastha, for them that path is open. But few people find it extremely difficult to walk on that path. So for these kind of people, the another path is provided, that is the Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so with the help of Jnana Yoga also and with the help of Bhakti Yoga also, we can overcome the adhis, or we can decrease the adhis, or we can dissolve the adhis. We can keep our mind in a cool and calm state, and we can decrease its disturbances. So, the in second chapter, 39 sutra, Sri Krishna is saying, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparah sanyate indriyah. Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirena digacchati. Shraddha, it's the best tool. So, what is Shraddha? First of all, we will have a small example or small discussion on Shraddha. Shraddha is not only going in a temple, praying something, following some vows, that is also a part of Shraddha. But that Shraddha is not only that, that following some rituals, following some religious practices, that is one part of having Shraddha. Okay. So Shraddha is quite more or beyond all these things. Okay. So first of all, Shraddha means unconditional. Shraddha or Bhakti is something called as an unconditional, unresolved devotion. Okay, so there are steps of the Shraddha. First of all, there is a prema, kama, prema, and bhakti or Shraddha. So there are stages. At first step, there is a kama avastha. Next step is a prema avastha, and third step is something called as a shraddha and bhakti. In first step, kama, the person have some kind of a relationship with, or even shraddha can be. We can have shraddha on God also. We can have shraddha on the parents also. We can have shraddha on the someone, on some people or surrounding us also. Okay, so any kind of unconditional faith, okay, on someone, on maybe God, on maybe the creator, maybe on the nature, maybe on the nation also, some desha bhakta. I have shraddha on the nation. Okay, so I can have my shraddha or I can have my bhakti towards my nation also. Okay, so like that, it can be, shraddha is something which can be kept on anything, any living as well as non-living things. So, but that is unconditional, okay, undisturbed. It's not like that, that until the God is fulfilling your desire, I am in love with God. Okay, the day God is not providing you the resources which the person want, from that day Shraddha is getting decreased. So Shraddha is not, that is something called as a Kama Avastha. Okay, you keep on giving me something, I will keep on giving you something. That is something called as a Kama Avastha, a give and take relationship. The day you stop giving me the resources, you stop giving me the respect or anything, the next day I will stop giving you in returns or something. Okay, so that is a Kama Avastha. After that Kama Avastha, person gets raised into the Prema Avastha. Prema means where he don't keep on calculating that whatever I am getting in returns. Okay, he keep on giving, keep on doing, keep on surrendering the life in that person to whom he is dedicated. So that is a Prema Avastha. And next one is a Shraddha. Shraddha means unconditional, extreme, for that person, for that maybe for nation or for maybe for God. The person can sacrifice anything. The person can surrender everything. So that is the unconditional, unresolved faith. Okay, on maybe the God or maybe the creator or maybe the nature, maybe the nation also. So this is something called as a Shraddha, extreme faith, which cannot be destroyed by anything. Okay, so this kind of Shraddha, if we are having on God, that my God is always with me, my God will always take care of me. They have the Shraddhavan people, or the people following the Shraddha or Bhakti Marga, believe in Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. Okay, so when they have Shraddha on God, and this is Shraddha is not something that one fine day I will put Shraddha on the God. That is also a step-by-step procedure. Like other parts of yoga, Bhakti Yoga is also one fine day I cannot adopt the Shirshasana, or one fine day I cannot be a expert of so many things, or some yogic asanas and pranayamas. So like that, that is a step-by-step procedure. So like that, Bhakti Yoga is also a step-by-step procedure. Okay, we have to follow some procedures on the path of Bhakti Yoga, and then we can develop the Shraddha inside our personality or in our mind. So once this Shraddha is achieved towards the God, okay, that leads to the Jnana. Which kind of Jnana? Jnana, knowledge, or the experience of that he is the doer, I am not the doer. So once, and this is a practical knowledge, or this is a practical experience, each and every person walking on the path of Bhakti Yoga experiences. So he is quite aware, or he is quite experienced. Rather than saying aware, I will say he's experienced that the human body or the human beings have lot of limitations on this earth. So the human beings cannot be the doer on this earth. So the Bhakti Yoga, the person who is following Shraddha, he knows that I am not the doer. I am just an instrument. We are the nimitta matra, okay, to get the things done. We are instrument to get the events happen. There is a ruler, there is the owner of all this, or there is a creator of all this universe, and he is doing so many things. He is conducting all the events, maybe the events which may lead to positive or negative circumstances or consequences, that everything is getting done by the God and not by the me. I am just an instrument. If I will deny to do the activity, the activity will be get done by someone else. Okay, so they give up, then the liability decreases. Okay, so they've just become, it's like a servant, dasya bhava, it's like a servant of being servant of someone. Okay, so the responsibility or the liability is not valid to the human beings, it is valid to the nature or to the God. So in this sense, if we are adopting Shraddha, we adopt the mastery over the senses and the mind. If the things are not under our control, or if we are just instrument of getting the things conducted, then we should not be worried about that. If I am the doer, I am responsible for something. I because I'm if I'm responsible for something, then I will keep on worrying about the things. Okay, then that can disturb my mind. Okay, so rather than adopting this bhava, the people who follow the Shraddha, they adopt the bhava that I am a servant of the God, and God is the doer. I am just an instrument. So that gives the mastery over their mind disturbances. That gives the mastery over their senses. Okay, their mental disturbances easily starts decreasing or easily starts dissolving, because the job has been told to me, or the activity has been told to me, and I conducted that activity. Okay, and now the responsibility or the liability lies with the doer and not with the me. So once we adopt this non-doership, or we adopt this nimitta matra bhava, we start getting the sense mastery over the senses as well as the mastery over the mind, or the mind automatically by default starts decreasing its speed, because excessive speed is stress. Once the mind starts achieving the starts moving in the lower speed, that is that results in the dissolution of the adhi. That leads then in after this stage we learn to maintain the internal peace in a neutral mind in any circumstances. In any outer circumstances, we adopt the neutral mind in any good or bad consequences or good or bad circumstances. That leads to the bliss. Okay, that leads to the calmness, coolness of the mind. Outer things, outer circumstances may be the worst. We might be in a worst circumstances, but still the inner core of the mind is not at all disturbed. That leads to the dissolution of the adi. Okay, in that way, the mind is trained to move with a least speed when the external things are happening with excessive speed. Okay, or so that is called as a shraddha. Shraddha is a best tool when when the person adopt the shraddha, keep the extreme faith on the creator, on the God. So rather choose the path of faith rather than choosing the path of reasoning, logic, questioning. Okay, so there are always two paths. So see, like this, we are if we are on one road, there will be indications that one path is of faith, one path is of logical questioning, or one path is of jnana marga, one path is of bhakti marga. So adopt the path of bhakti marga, that is the easier path. Jnana marga is also the path to dissolve the adi, but that is full of hurdles. So rather choosing the Jnana Marga, and very few people can follow on the path of Jnana Marga. Okay, so the people who have highly determined, who are highly intellectuals, who have the highly analytical skills, they can walk on the path of Jnana Marga. But if we are having these qualities less, the easier path is the Bhakti Marga, that is the Shraddha. Once the person having Shraddha, he gets the knowledge that he is not the doer, and he is just the nimitta matra bhava. That leads to the sensory sanyatendriyaha, that leads to over the control of his mind, and then he gets the param shanti, internal peace, neutral peace, a neutral mind, coolness and calmness of mind, and achirenadi gachati. It leads to the dissolution of the adi. Adi starts getting decreases once we adopt the path of the bhakti yoga, that is the shraddha. So how to do it practically? Because adopting this nimitta mahatra bhava. No, one fine day, maybe after this sessions, 1 hour, 2 hour, you will remember this, that I am just an instrument, and I am not the doer. But after that, we keep on forgetting, because Vismruti is one kind of a boon given to the human being. So how we have to remember this day by day in day-to-day activities. So there are a few practical tips also to maintain this Nimitta Mahatra Bhava, or maintain this non-doership. Maybe after 8 days, 10 days, you will completely forget all these things. That's the human nature. So we can keep this mind, we can by heart such sutras, and we can keep that in mind. How to practical tips for nimitta matra bhava, how to maintain or this nimitta matra bhava, or how to adopt the mindfulness in day to day activities. So there is another sutra, Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyet tattvavit. Pashan shrunvan swushan jigran gandhascha swapnashvasan प्रलपन् विसृज गृह्णानि उन्मेष निमिषान्नपि इन्द्रियाणि इन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्ते इति धारयन्. So the person who is following basically Sankhya Yoga, because this sutra is in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that is the Sankhya Yoga. So the person who knows the glory of the God, who knows that God is the doer and I am just an instrument. So the person believe that he is not doing anything. Naiva kinchit karomi iti. What I am doing? No, the person or the Sankhya Yogi or we should know that what am I doing? Am I able to do anything on this earth? No, not at all. We are not provided that kind of resources that we can take the decision, this, I will do this, I will do that. Okay, this can be practically observed in ICUs, with the patients who are bedridden. Okay, we have been, the God is running in our body today, and I'm talking, you are listening, I'm walking, doing the things, because God is allowing us to do that. That's why I'm talking, you are listening, I can do a lot of things. If the God will not allow us to do that, we are not able to move our body parts also. We have seen the spiritual anatomy and physiology of the body. that there are some systems which are voluntary, having the voluntary functions, which there are some systems which are involuntary functions. If one day, if the voluntary functions also become the involuntary, or we lose the control over that voluntary functions, that will not able to do so many things. Okay, so we are walking, talking, and doing so many things because God is allowing us to do that. He want us to go and do the actions. Okay, so the Sankhya Yogi, or the person, we should believe that we does nothing. Even no, naiva kinchat karomi yukto manyet tattvavid. Passion to watch even a small activities. Okay, to watch some things, listening, touching, smelling, eating, drinking, walking, sleeping, breathing, speaking, answering the calls of the nature, grasping some kind of a knowledge, or listening to someone, even the unmesha nimisha, blinking of the eyes also, opening and closing of the eyes also, it is done by the God. It is not in our control. Okay, so these things are happening very regularly with us. That's why we think that we are doing, but the real picture is not. You can go and ask that people who are facing these issues, who are not able to walk, who are not able to sleep, who are not able to breathe also. Then at that day we will understand that we have the least control over all these things. So even Unmesha Nimisha, opening, the blinking of the eyes also is under his control. Okay, so this kind of small activities, this kind of small karmas, very minor karmas, that is also under his control. So this is all is due to the senses allowing moving among their object. Okay, so all these karmas are indriyani indriyartheshu. Okay, all indriyas are under the control of the Paramatma. We can have the on control. I can close my eyes, I can have control over the eyes, but I cannot have the control over the chakshurendriya, the brain's center, where my occipit in my occipital region, I cannot close that. Okay, if I'm watching on something, I cannot stop the grasping of the image and following its image on my retina, and grasping that image by my occipital or ocular centers. Okay, so indriyas are under control of the Paramatma. Indriyas are not under control of the Jivatma. It is not in our control. So for some time, we can cause some hurdles or obstacles by closing the eyes. But even if whenever we are closing the eyes, some pictures get flashed in front of our eyes, in front of our closed eyes. Okay, that we cannot stop. So we have limited control over all our indriyas. Indriyas are totally under control of the Paramatma, under control of the God. Okay, so and we are doing so many things with the indriyas only. Okay, with the help of body organs, along with indriyas, we are doing so many things. Can you just tell me any activity where the only body parts are working and the indriyas are not working, or not involved in that? There is no action like that. In each action, like all these actions, eating, drinking, walking, sleeping, breathing, anything, brain and its centers are involved in each and everything, each and every action. And how much we have the control over the brain centers, that is the indriyas, we know. Neurologist, you can ask to neurologists, neurosurgeons, that neurological activities are under least control of the human beings. Okay, they are under the control of the Paramatma, under the control of the God, because very less the neurological science has been explored by the human beings till today. So what to do? No, how we will adopt this Nimitta Mahatra Bhava? Now what I will tell you the practical tips. Okay, try to adopt the mindfulness. Now try to watch try to watch your own activities as if someone else is doing that. This is possible. This is not impossible. Okay, as we watch the activities of the others, no, surrounding us, like that we can keep on watch on our own activities as a third person. So that is a mindfulness. Okay, what after whenever we are waking in the morning, you can have just 2 minutes or 5 minutes break after every 2 hours or 3 hours, and just sitting and observing that what when suppose 7 o'clock you are waking, and then 10 o'clock you can have 5 minutes break or 2 minutes break, and you can observe or you can remember what you did from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, what right thing, what wrong thing, or what the some kinds of words, some kinds of activities you should have adopt, should have neglected, you should have overcome. Okay, or how that 3 hours you could have spent in a better way. Okay, so maybe after 10 to like at 1 o'clock again have some small break and observe your activities of last 3 hours. So like that you can have the breaks, small breaks. Okay, from small yoga breaks after every 3 hours, after every 6 hours, depending on the availability of the time and schedule of the person. We can have this kind of small breaks and observe our own activities with a neutral mindset. Don't be so judgmental towards your own activities. Try to observe your own activities with the neutral mind, that what mistakes you have committed, what the words you could have again rephrased. Okay, so this observing, this is something following the mindfulness practices, okay, in day-to-day activities. That leads to the living in the present tense. Then you will remember, or then you will understand that that will bring all these kinds of, if will have 4 to 5 these kinds of breaks in my 24 hours, then I will start living in the present tense. Okay, we are always out of the mind. Okay, that leads to the detachment from the past tense and future tense. It teaches us to live in the present tense. We can if we are doing some wrong things, we can enough on the time we can stop ourselves. That will lead to the least dilemmas, least confusion, least conflicts, least concept, something called as a scene. Okay, so that starts decreasing all these confusions and dilemmas, and that leads to the resolution of the ati. It gives us the clarity, coolness and calmness of the mind. Because if we are doing, if we are unconsciously, if we are walking on the path of confusion or walking on the path of dilemmas, by such kind of breaks or by such kind of mindfulness, we can stop ourselves, or we can pull ourselves back from that confusion, back from that dilemma state, and that gives you the clarity, coolness and calmness of the mind. Okay, that leads to the regular pranic circulation. Once the mind is flowing with a continuous or with a constant speed, there is a always irregular pranic circulation. Prana flows with a constant flow. That leads to the nourishment and repairing of the body systems and organs. If it's prana is a kind of a food for each body, each and every body cell. If I will stop eating, my body will not be nourished. Okay, so for the nourishment of my physical body, I need physical food. Like that, along with the physical food, body, each and every body cells, the pranic circulation also, that body cells require prana, energy. So that leads to the decreased pathophysiology of the diseases, and that can result in a good health. So we discussed in this session about the one of the major tool, that is the Shraddha. How with the help of Shraddha, because there are always two paths, Jnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. Walking on the Jnana Marga path or Jnana Yoga is little bit difficult. So rather than that, one easy path is available to dissolve the Adhi or to decrease the Adhi, that is the Shraddha, that is the Bhakti, that leads to the mastery over the mind, that leads to the peace of mind, and that dissolves the adi. And then we discuss about the mindfulness, how believing that each second of the life, believing that I am not the doer, I am just an instrument. Okay, so and adopting this non-doership can lead to the health. Okay, so thank you very much. I will stop my recording here, and then we will move towards the next session.